Media. This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically Black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, folks, you asked me. Yeah, I feel like Tupac. How many times I gotta tell you, don't ignore me? You asked me what they were gonna do. You asked me how they were gonna respond. You asked me how they were gonna react. You asked me what was coming after the 2020 elections. Did they get scared enough? Did they take the threat seriously enough? You asked me, were things going to change? And I said it repeatedly. Things were not going to change. The way in which they responded to Black people was not going to change, because after 150 years of Black people teaching them through our actions, not our words, that we would be willing to accept symbolic gestures, that so long as they recognized and acknowledged our existence, that would be enough. They are just going to keep trying to work that, because what we are demanding isn't what everybody else is looking for. Everybody else is looking to elevate their place in the system of white supremacy. We are demanding nothing less than the destruction of the system of white supremacy, and because of that, they cannot give you what you want. So, in order to have stalling tactics, instead chosen to do is, let's see if we can double down on symbolic gestures. Because a lot of the time, Black people have shown that they're not demanding that we're going to take it to the mat. So old Joe Biden, the beast Biden, is back again, and man, he's taking it to a level. Remember I told you before about the empty symbolic gesture of Juneteenth? That was what he tried last year. That didn't get any traction. So, it's back again. Let's see what we can do now. Well, here we go. Let's see if we can get a Black Supreme Court Justice, a Black female Supreme Court Justice. Doesn't that check a bunch of boxes there? Doesn't that mean something for you people? Lo and behold, just in time for the 2020 midterm elections, just in time for his re-election, lo and behold, yeah, let's go ahead. Black folks say they want specific things. So let's see if we can put a Black face in a high place. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see if that will work. Because you know that's usually worked before, right? Civil rights generation. They were addicted to that. Ooh, they actually acknowledging our existence. Why, I was related. I got me a cousin who works at the Peons. I got me a cousin who works at the State Departments. They put all of their pride and credibility into that. And what you saw is it translated to nothing. And the reason why it translates to nothing is because the only Black folk that they elevate are going to be co-opted individuals. Individuals that they've already got them in their back pocket. Individuals who they know are already on the team. Individuals who are already carrying the water. They got plenty of Black folk that they have already co-opted completely. Plenty of them. You're going to find out the hard damn way when they finally do go ahead and spring it on you, and then they realize, oh, hell, they're acting just like the white nominees did. So CNN is reporting that Joe Biden wants to pick a Black woman to be on the Supreme Court, and there are some names that they pulled out of a hat or somewhere else. Professor Black Truth has done a fantastic expose on this. I'm going to be following up on that here tonight, and giving you much more condensed here with some more information. But if you want to know who in the world they're dealing with there, you can see them on your screen. You can see them on your screen there, and here are the nominees, or at least who they are stating are potential nominees. Ketanji Brown Jackson, Leandra Kruger, J. Michelle Childs, William Mimi Wright, Eunice Lee, Candace Jackson Akamini, and Sherilyn Eiffel. So these are them individuals that CNN is saying are potential nominees. They've zeroed in on, which means the White House has named them. What it means that the White House has named these individuals. And by the way, YouTube is going to try to bury tonight's program. If y'all want to go ahead and support me, hit the likes and make sure you share this. Very, very important to do so. Hit the likes, but also make sure you share this for me. Thank you. If CNN has a list of names, these are a list of names that were leaked to them by the White House. And the purpose of that is to float those names out there and see what the reaction of Black society is. And whoever seems to be the most influential, the most popular, but also the youngest, that's what they're going to go for. Now, my assumption, if I had to put my finger on somebody, it would be Leandra Kruger. This Leandra Kruger chick seems to be the one I'd be taking a look at. That right there, if you want to know who my front runner is, that's going to be it. But we're going to go ahead and introduce you to some of those there. By the way, I say introduce you to some of them. More importantly, I would like to introduce you to the whole family. So first and foremost on the list here, let's go ahead and take a look at Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson and her husband. All right.
Yeah,
never been
they're all white.
Black people.
I told you,
Clearly,
all
she's
white.
had other priorities. So she's had better things to do, obviously. All right. Well, next there, Leandra Kruger and her husband there in the middle. The other guy on the right is former Governor Jerry Brown, California.
They pick them, don't they?
All right, there's Leandra Kruger, her husband. Let's skip down. We're going to forget Michelle Childs. Let's go to Miss Wilhelmina Wright. Miss Wilhelmina Wright and her husband. Oh, boy. Am I the only one sensing a pattern here? Am I the only one who's latched onto a pattern that in order to get on these courts and get nominated to these circuit courts, am I the only one who's seeing a pattern in the individuals that they're choosing to get on these circuit courts? Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. All right, fine. Wild card. Sherilyn Ifill, sister of the late Gwen Ifill of PBS. There she is, and right. She's very short, he's very tall, or somewhere in the middle. But yeah, I'm sensing a pattern. I'm sensing a pattern.
Made to be together.
Well, maybe we'll do things a little bit different here. Michelle Childs. Did a little background on her. No, she doesn't have Zaddy. She's got something worse. Jim Clyburn.
Oh,
The other nominees aren't looking quite so bad now upon further review. They're not looking quite so suspect. Eunice Lee. Now, this one in particular, I got to tell you, every time they turned around mentioning her, it was constantly in connection to LGBT. Now, she herself is not, apparently, or at least admittedly, LGBT. But every time they talk about her, it's LGBT, LGBT, LGBT. Biden has chosen her along with LGBT nominees. So I don't know. What are you trying to say? I don't get it. I don't get it. I feel like you're trying to tell me something. So far, if you take a look at the list here, all right. Not looking so great here so far. And I'm being generous. To the process of elimination, this is kind of what we end up with here. No, and understand, these are the names that were floated by the White House. These are the names that were put out there by them. If these names were put out by them and leaked by them, it's part of the agenda. This is what it is. They're prepping the ground to say, this is what we're going for. Now, let's see how black folk respond. So you understand what the real agenda there is. Because I just couldn't help but notice things look familiar. This seems like a familiar thing with Joe Biden. Is it just me, or whenever Joe Biden chooses a black female to be in a position of alleged power, he chooses a black female who has a certain proclivity and then is expressed with some direct anti-black sentiments and behaviors as well. Am I the only one picking up a pattern here? Am I the only one that sees a pattern of behavior coming from Joe the Beast Biden? Am I the only one who saw that? Am I the only one who sees that there's this habitual trend? Every time you turn around, the only black women he has any sort of interest in are black women who have an interest in white men. Anybody else, he's like, not so much. Not so much. So right now, quite frankly, as far as I can tell, it's a foot race, man. It's a foot race. It could go any which way. But as far as I can tell, there's really only 4 names on here that Biden is seriously considering. The other 2 is like, we're going to put you out there, but we're going to put Eunice and Candace out there. But, in the end, wink, we ain't really considering that. That they don't have the right credentials. 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 And by the way, one other thing. Let's be very, very clear. I wanted, of all the pictures I could have chosen of Ketanji Brown Jackson, I chose this one because a lot of the other pictures out there are years old and her husband's hair is black in all of these other pictures. I chose this one to show you that, oh no, she's been in there for a minute. But then again, all of them have. I mean, we ain't talking about no new relationships. They didn't just get married. Oh, they've been there for a minute. They've been in there for a while. Their ovaries done dried up. They don't have nothing else to offer there, but they've been hanging in there, boy. They have been hanging in there. So I just wanted you to be aware. This isn't some flash in the pan. They are like Clarence Thomas. They are down like 4 flats. They are down like 4 flats. They're not going anywhere. They're not going nowhere. So when we take to the streets talking about black empowerment, you talking about Black Lives Matter, what do you think is going on at their house? I want you to consider this right now. Consider what's happening at the Eiffel household. Consider what's happening there. Could you imagine her standing next to this Nordic giant, trying to explain to him about what black people need? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine him as he towers over her? I don't know. Maybe we should use it in my black people. What was that, Sherilyn? Nothing, Zaddy. I mean, you tell me, how do you think that's going to work? Because in my eyes, I don't think it goes so well. I don't think it does. Just based on the optics I see here, I don't see her standing up for black folk. I just don't. I don't see it happening. She doesn't have a track record of it. I don't see anything else right there. Personally, I think she'd be too scared to. So if you're asking me what I think, if you're asking me how I feel about it, that's how I feel about it. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't believe it. Now, can someone tell me what are the mathematical odds that of all the people you could have chosen, that the overwhelming majority of the names you floated out there right now, they all have one consistent pattern? I mean, when you take a look at the marriage rates of black women and white men, do you realize how low that is? And yet, talk about packing the bench. Talk about packing the bench. Do you realize how many other nominees and candidates you had to bypass to end up with this Barnum and Bailey sideshow? Do you realize how many you would have to bypass? But the fact that there's so many of them at the state level, the federal level, the appellate level, they've been doing this for decades now. Decades. So now you're going to have a Supreme Court, and when the Supreme Court upholds white supremacy, you know what they're going to say now? They're going to say, oh, well, it wasn't us. It wasn't us. We weren't the ones what done it. Why, it was a black person who did it. We wasn't the ones what done it. Not us. You can't point the finger over here. It wasn't me. Need I remind you all, Barack Obama married Michelle Obama. That's nice. Michelle Obama was Barack Obama's first black female relationship. She was the last woman he dated. She was the one he married. Michelle Obama was Barack Obama's first, last, and only black relationship. She wasn't the only female. We're not going to talk about the alleged men. She wasn't the only female. She was the only black one. And he decided to go ahead and take one for the team to throw this Hail Mary to get to the White House. What I'm saying is I'm noticing a consistent pattern emanating from the Democrat Party. I'm noticing a consistent pattern coming from them.
Mm-hmm. Like they was talking about Barack.
And it all looks very, very familiar. What I'm noticing is a consistent trend of mulattoes who identify with and associate with white people. Which is why I'm telling you, if I had to choose who I'm thinking is going to be, I'm like, oh, I think I found it. She sure does look kind of familiar. She fits the profile. Leandra Kruger fits the profile. I just couldn't help but notice that. She fits the profile. So they're looking for individuals who got a certain criterion about them. Then again, maybe I'm just misreading the room. I don't know. But to me, I'm seeing a consistent pattern of behavior. Now, what in the hell do they possibly think they're going to get as a result? What do they possibly believe they're going to get as a result? Well, what you think is going to do is that this is going to be appropriate window dressing, that black people are going to be simple-minded and silly about it, and that putting yet another black face in a high place, well, that will qualify the black people as tangible benefits. I want you all to understand what wasn't said. Did you notice nobody is talking about LGBT, illegals, Latinos, Asians? You notice last year they were talking, it was all about Asians. And I told you all, sit back, this is going to run its course. And when it does, they're going to get back to talking about black people. And there were some of you who doubted it. There were some of you who refuted it. There were some of you who debated about it, talking about Jason, no, this is what's going to be right here. They focusing on them and whatnot. And I was saying the whole time, no, they're just throwing anything at the wall to see if something sticks. And we stayed steadfast and consistent, and nothing stuck. Nothing stuck. And once nothing stuck, when they saw, hey, black folk really are falling off here, yeah, let's see if we can do something a little bit different. So let's see if we got an election coming up, and black people are anything but a solid base right now. So Why don't we go ahead and make a big splash? We'll go ahead and make a big splash. Oh, let everybody know why I want a black woman on the Supreme Court. Never mind Joe Biden's hostility towards black women and the Supreme Court in the past and the courts in the past. Just never mind that. Never mind that at all. We're just going to bypass that, right? Never mind. Never mind. So this is supposed to distract us, and this is supposed to get us all giddy, and this is supposed to be like the Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill moment, and we're supposed to all just gather around and do that. What they don't understand is it's a new day. It's a new day. See, this kind of stuff worked with the fossils of the civil rights generation. This worked on them. Well, I'm telling you, they ain't rewrote the damn playbook yet. They are still trying to see if they can do the Woody Hayes routine. 5 yards and a cloud of dust. Let's just see if we can grind and power our way through this. And if black people, if we just hold out long enough, black people's focus will change. Their focus will diminish. And eventually they will just settle for whatever we throw at them. If you're testifying with what you hear here tonight, go ahead and hit the thumbs up in the chat room and hit my likes for me. Very important to go ahead and do that. Make sure you share tonight's program. YouTube is definitely going to try to bury what we're talking about here, but go ahead and share tonight's program for us. Because if you haven't gotten the word out, we want to bring you the concrete proof of this. If you want to know why it is that we are the black media and why it is that we need the black media, this is the reason why. The reason that you have and need a black media, this is the reason why. So that when somebody tells you that, oh, Biden wants some black folks on the Supreme Courts, you can sit here and show the information, let the word get out. So you can let folks know, you know what? I've seen this movie before from Joe Biden. I've seen this movie before from the Democrats. I've seen it before, and I didn't like it the first time. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. And this looks very, very familiar to me. What they want to see is how easily impressed you are, how easily distracted you are, and can we run the same game all over again? Understand something. They know there hasn't been enough time that has elapsed between events. They know it. Joe Biden, he's been holding press conferences. See, I know what's going on. I don't know who it is exactly. Tell them it might be Lily Adams, Simone Sanders. Ain't nobody listen to her ass. But, you know, they got some Lily Adams or a Lily Adams type individual. They're at the White House whispering in Joe's ear. Okay, what you listen to Simone Sanders. See, that's how you know Simone Sanders was the person of influence who was telling Joe Biden, you need to just tell black folks, shut the hell up. You got to talk to them like you do a hoe. Black folks, you got to be strong, and you got to tell them, look, you ain't going to get a damn thing. You better support Latinos because you ain't getting nothing. That's what Simone Sanders told us. Now you know that she's no longer influential and they're no longer taking advice from her. Because now you guys, he's been real apologetic towards black folk, real sympathetic, real conciliatory. Now everything is, well, you know, I just hadn't done enough. I hadn't come out to see enough people. All of a sudden, Joe Biden's done dropped all that damn pimp talk. Did you all notice that? All of a sudden, Joe done dropped the pimp talk. He ain't talking to us like he pimping some hoes no more. Ain't that interesting? I wonder what changed. I wonder what altered. Because now all of a sudden he ain't talking to black folk like we hoes on the track. And he's hopping out that Fleetwood broom talking about, why ain't you have my money? All of a sudden, he's not doing that anymore. All of a sudden now it's yes, sir, no, ma'am. What can I do for yous? Even though I ain't gonna do nothing for yous. I really need to come down and see you. No, for what I need, you don't have to come see me. Cut the check. That doesn't require you to come see me. No. Don't show up on my doorstep and shake no hands, kiss no babies, wash no cars. I ain't trying to have it. No, cut the check. You already know what I want. You already know what we want. There's no reason to even talk about it. See, that's how we put the pimp hand down. That, we ain't even really talking to you about it. No, ain't nothing for us to talk about. Now, understand, they going to get real worried now because the word's going to get out that, by the way, this is more window dressing. This is more bait and switch, and this is more symbolism. You notice they didn't offer Asians a seat on the Supreme Court. Asians don't need it. The politicians are offering them tangibles and benefits. And it's usually black politicians they got doing the dirty work or doing it for them. Asians don't require a seat on the Supreme Court. They're already getting their tangibles. They're already getting their constitutional protections. So nobody needs to nominate anything like that for them. They've already got attorney generals and states attorney generals and U.S. marshals and U.S. attorneys all around the damn country making all kinds of special task forces specifically for them. Black folk been catching the business now for 170 years, and ain't nobody set up here and formed a birthday party for us, much less a damn task force. The Asians didn't have to sit up here and march in the streets and get multiple civil rights bills to get somebody to get active for them. You see, with how you responded to them, it's totally different from how you responded to us. Totally different. Totally different. No, this is symbolic. The Supreme Court has been stripping our rights. What the hell are they going to do? They've been stripping our rights. You put the black woman up there, that's not going to matter. That's not going to change anything. The mathematics of the Supreme Court are the mathematics of the Supreme Court. That's not going to change it. That's not going to alter it. You're going to get exactly the same results you're getting now. And you're going to get the Democrats giving you the exact same excuses they're giving you now. They're not going to alter it. They're not going to alter that at all. It's going to be like Clarence Thomas. All they're going to sit up here and just tell you, well, wasn't nothing we could do right there. And once they nominate whichever one of these went to the Supreme Court, this is going to be the last you hear of it. That's going to be the last you hear of it, last you see of it, and that's it. Just like Sotomayor and Kagan, it's going to be the last of it. But you know, you didn't see any radical changes. Where are all the Biden butt kissers to tell us about how great and wonderful he's done a job of and how much things have changed? Anybody been able to find them? Anybody been able to find them? I wonder. Anybody been able to find them? There's a whole bunch of folk who were claiming up and down, Biden gonna change things, things gonna be different, Biden gonna change things. Yeah, you were saying a whole bunch of that before now. Now take a look at what the hell has done changed. It's gonna be more of the same. And I kind of wonder how many derisive comments about black folk have been going on in these people's households. I wonder how many racial jokes about black folk been happening in these households here. I'm just wondering. I wonder how much scapegoating on black folk has been going on in these people's households. I just wonder. I wonder how many long-standing jokes and taking jabs at black people have been having in these folks' households. I wonder, because Kamala Harris is black whenever convenient. And that's been good enough for them. She's been black whenever convenient. Folks, when you take a look at this many names and all of them are carrying the water like that, that's not accidental. And let's be very, very clear. None of these people named is reliable. None of them. Not a one. None of these are stand-up individuals. None of these are reliable individuals. None of these are what we can count on. None of them are. None. Not a one. None of them. I put the X's up here so that you can see the scale of the disparity here, but none of these are stand-up individuals. None of them. If you want a Supreme Court nominee that I can get behind, you want a Supreme Court nominee that I would support, where's Judge Olu Stevens? I'll support that one. I'll support Judge Olu Stevens to the bench. I can go for that one. That's one I can get behind. I don't think that's a bad one. If we can get one like Judge Olu Stevens, that'll be great. I can go for that. I could go for that. I can't name too many others, but Olu Stevens is available. I think that would be a great one. I think that'd be a fantastic one. You want to see black folk get mobilized? Let's talk about Judge Olu Stevens. You put him out there, and black folk can get mobilized then. The only problem is, so with white supremacist society, they get mobilized too. You'd have James Carville, Hillary Clinton, and the rest of them. They would be the ones coming out. Oh, no. You can't have Olu Stevens now. You just can't do that. Just can't do it. That would never work. That would just never work. So all of a sudden, it would become a problem. All of a sudden. It wouldn't be the Republicans speaking against it. It would be your so-called Democrat friends speaking against it. All of a sudden. That's what it would become. It's not accidental when you see this kind of thing happen. That's not accidental when you see this kind of thing occur. None of this happens by accident. This is all pre-planned from the very beginning. All pre-planned. And what they're counting on is to see, are black people paying attention, or can we sneak one more by them? So basically, here's the game plan today. The game plan now is everybody else gets concrete tangibles. Black people get symbolic gestures. This is the game plan now. This is the modus operandi now. This is the way in which they've calculated it. Everybody else gets tangibles. Everybody else gets concrete things. Everybody else gets that. Black folk, no, you just get symbolic gestures. A bureaucrat here, a nominee there. You get symbolic things. That's what you get. You don't get anything solid. No, not you. So I just want you all to understand exactly what they're doing now. And they plan on keeping it up. It's only after they lose a few elections, when they actually lose a few, and understand what they're looking for. In 2022, what they are going to be looking for is to see that in their minds, this ruse will have worked if the black turnout is significant. As far as they're concerned, if the black turnout is significant, then they will consider that to be enough. They'll consider that to be worth their time. If the black turnout is significant enough this year. If enough black folk respond and come jumping out the woodwork and carry the water, they'll say this is enough. We don't need to do anything else. What we need to do is to get black folks to show up in 2024 is to double down on the symbolic gestures. All we gotta do is just nominate some black folk for something significant. Do that enough. If you run out of nominees, all you gotta do is find some rappers to run around with. That's all you gotta do then. Find some rappers to run around with. And that'll be good. What they really want to see is whether or not we're going to play into that. I'm telling you right now, this is the very definition of desperate. This is the definition of desperate. You shouldn't even need to pull a stunt like this. This is the definition of desperate. I've been saying the entire time that they've been losing their mojo. I've been saying the entire time they're losing their grip. I've been saying the entire time that they are losing black support. Anybody who's arguing with me before, take a look on your screen. all of a sudden in an election year, quote unquote, doing something specifically for black people. Oh, I know what they think the counter argument will be. You see, when we say they haven't done anything specifically for black people, what they're going to turn around and say, they're looking to see how many old-timey Negro drunks they can find to sit up here, and they already know that they'll be sitting up there trying to argue against, well, see, that's the problem right there. See, Biden can't lose everything. Republicans be black. But see, he put somebody blacks on the Supreme Court. So what he did there. See, that was specifically for black people. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say that putting a black woman on the Supreme Court is a specific benefit specifically for black people. Even though by definition the Supreme Court does not automatically do anything for black people. Even though the Supreme Court doesn't actually on its own do anything for black people. And has been doing plenty against black people. But one person on the Supreme Court, as if that somehow is a specific benefit to all of us. But just be aware, I know the game, I know the rules, I know the time. What they're going to say is that, oh, we put a black woman on the Supreme Court, so all those folks who were sitting up here and giving Kamala Harris the business and saying that you all haven't done anything specifically for black people, understand they're going to immediately come back and say, well, we put a black woman on the Supreme Court. We shows did. We put the black woman on the Supreme Court. So just start looking for that. They are now going to tell you that putting a black woman on the Supreme Court is a specific benefit for all of us. You're going to see the breakfast schlubs, the Breakfast Club. You're going to see them sitting up here telling you that that's a specific benefit for us. Be looking for that. Be looking for them to tell you on the Breakfast Club. They're going to get together and say, hey, that is something specifically for black people. Look for that to happen. Look for Oprah Winfrey to come out of mothballs, rubbing the Epsom salt off of her knees. Look for her to come trotting out with Gail. I got a feeling, because I know how these things work, I got a feeling at some point we're going to see Oprah show up with Leandra Kruger somewhere. They're going to have to black her up. They're going to have to black her up. Mark my words. None of these individuals are acceptable. They're going to have to find a way to blacken them up, especially this one. They're going to have to find a way to black them up. So they're going to sit up here and try to find some black credentials out of nowhere to thumbtack onto them. They're going to try to sticky tack and sticky note some black credentials on any black person that they've met between the ages of 4 and today. They're going to sit up here and say, oh, that's the person. Oh, yeah, those are her black credentials. And if they don't find any, they're going to try to find some court case, one, and Professor Black Truth already exposed about this one in particular here. I mean, letting wholesale white supremacists off the damn hook. It'll be a hard sell, but they're going to go for it. It'll be a hard sell, but they're going to go for it. But I know what they're going to do. You're going to try to sit up here, you're going to try to black them up. You're going to sit up here and try to find some kind of black credentials for them. They're going to try to see if are you a member of a sorority? Do you like to dance the Dougie? Do you listen to Cardi B? Were you listening to Tupac back in college? That's what they're we've already seen the playbook. We've already seen it. You've already seen it. We've already seen what happens when they get together and do that. So they're going to run the same playbook again. Just mark my words. They're not going to twist it. They're not going to change anything. This is the only thing they got. They are going to try to run this playbook again. Let's see if it works. Now, be aware, they are not gonna stop in 2022. If this fails this year, that's not gonna be enough to break them. I'm telling you what to expect. Do not expect it to break because of 2022. Expect it to break because of 2024. So I'm just telling you right now, this is just the latest round. This is not the last round. Even if things go disastrously for them, they are going to come back again in 2024 to try to run the playbook all over again. They are not going to let this go in that manner. Right now, they're not going to take this seriously until they get to 2024. When they get to 2024 and they see that they were weak in 2020, they got knocked over in 2022 and got knocked out in 2024, then they're going to take it seriously. And when we get there, understand we are going to have to be unapologetic, unadulterated, uncompromising, and unequivocal. Look it up. We are going to have to be unmistakable in letting them know what the black agenda is. The black agenda is concrete tangibles. The black agenda is cut the check, which is no more symbolism. We want direct benefits specifically for black people, the descendants of slaves, Aboriginal people. We want specifically for black people, not immigrants, not newcomers, specifically for the people who have sat here and been historically, generationally denied, historically, generationally oppressed, specifically to cure that and to resolve that. Not for anybody else. No dilution, no subject change. We're not sitting up here shuffling our feet. This is specifically and exactly what it is. This is specifically and exactly what it is. Going forward, we will not accept window dressing, symbolism, accessories. No, we're not accepting any of that. Not at all. This is the agenda. So just know they're going to try this because this is what they do. They're going to try it because this is the only play they have, because they are dead set against giving us what we want. All black folk got to do is stand firm and sit back. Their attitudes will change after they've gotten their asses whooped enough. And even then, they're going to try to drip it out one drip at a time. They're going to try to figure out what is the bare minimum that we will accept, which is why we got to make it clear we're not accepting bare minimums. When you deal with other people, you open the damn floodgates. We are the most deserving of all. You're not going to open the floodgates. You're going to tear the dam down and just let it flood in. But from here on in, we're not taking symbolic gestures of any kind. We're not tolerating symbolic gestures of any kind anywhere. Not at all. Now you know what the playbook looks like there. When we come back, we're going to see about taking your phone calls here. Before we do, I want to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program here, especially on PayPal or Cash App. Ms. Cordelia, Mr. Kamathi, Ryan, and Chadwick, and Mr. Brown, thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. And to all of you who have contributed on Cash App and everywhere else. When we come back, we'll be talking about this and more. This is the Black Channel.
Join sixthirls.net, a forum built to discuss all things relevant to black people. On our forum, a check doesn't mean you're famous. It means your blackness has been verified by our staff.
Sorry, Chad.
We also have premium merchandise with same-day shipping on most orders. And when you're ready for some dope content, check out the 0 Hour blog. Don't you sign up, post. I'm having a really good time with you tonight.
I'm having a good time with you too.
Want to go somewhere private? Just for us?
I like that.
Great. Meet me at sixthirls.net. Black owned, black operated.
The white supremacists use division as a weapon, dividing our families, our wealth, rewarding traitors, murdering heroes. Yet we survived. We fought for our reparations. Now it's our turn to divide and administer God's power. I am Agent Nulia Sellers, a foundational Black American. I promise that nothing will come between us. Buy the sci-fi novel, Nothing Will Come Between Us. Available January 22nd. Pre-order online today at Amazon and Google Play. Spirit of 1811 Publishing.com. Our story, our family. Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Press But Not Crushed. Press But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
The future of legal betting is finally here. Place a bet using Cash App with Bitcoin right over the phone. Unlike with traditional gambling sites, every bet you place with us, you're guaranteed a 50% probability of winning. All of our bets are one-on-one against a real person and never the house. We offer some of the most unique bets in the industry. Bets like, will LeBron James win his 5th NBA title? Will Joe Biden be elected for a second term? Will Tesla be worth $1 trillion by the end of 2022? You can even bet on if it will rain tomorrow. You can literally bet on any future event. Text the phrase I bet to the number on the screen, and I'll reply with a list of all our available bets.
Are you tired of being overcharged and forced into paying a monthly subscription for your Mac and Windows software? Well, if you are, currently we're having a 50% off discount on all the latest Mac and Windows software, such as AutoCAD, SolidWorks, Photoshop, Microsoft Office, and much more. Our 50% off discount will be ending soon, so be sure to text us Need Software to 323-407-8214. That's 323-407-8214. We aim to please, so expect 24/7 technical support, the latest premium software, instant software links delivered to your email, and PayPal's buyer's protection guarantee.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening as we are discussing about the desperation tactics now being employed by Joe Biden and the Democrats. They understand that they are in huge amounts of trouble with the black vote. They understand that they are sinking and sinking fast. I said here, remember, I just said just last week, to anybody who thought I was being hyperbolic, last week's program, you remember, was titled Biden's Black Support is Crumbling. His black support crumbles. Anybody who thought that, oh, you just being high, you just talking, you don't know what you talking about there. It ain't that bad. His black support ain't crumbling like that. Black folks are supporting Biden just fine. Oh, really? Oh, really? Yeah, things are going so well that now he's on a constant outreach mission to black folk. Things are going so fine that that's what's occurring. If you want to know exactly what losing looks like, if you want to know what going down looks like, this is what it looks like. It looks like this. This is what the ship sinking looks like. So you're going to throw this desperate Hail Mary and hope that there are enough black people left who are still addicted to symbolism and symbolic gestures and just being acknowledged, and then nobody reads the fine print. We've seen this before. If they nominate someone to the Supreme Court and put them on the Supreme Court, it's going to be somebody who's going to do their bidding, not ours. It's going to be just another person to be filling in to promote their agenda. And next thing you know, it's going to be all about LGBT and every damn thing else. Black people are not getting anything. This isn't even legislated anyway. But be watchful of that too. Anybody who was doubting whether or not that was actually what was occurring, now you've got your concrete evidence of it. Now you got your concrete proof. We're going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines now. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence. The only one of its kind on planet Earth today. You're, of course, welcome to give us a call. If you do choose to call in, make sure you don't have background noise. Keep your comments brief to the point, or you will get assistance keeping it brief and to the point. But give us a call at 646-787-1933. And I want to say thanks to Mr. Steven, Mr. Richburg, Najee, and Steven Musica, and everybody else who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal or Cash App. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. As black people, we set a terrible precedent, and I've been saying this for years and years now. We set a terrible precedent with the dominant society that if we sit here and tolerate what's going on, if we sit up here and take the slow road and tolerate whatever they slop off the table at us, then that's going to make things better. And then things are going to get better with that. Incrementalism only works if you're moving in a certain direction. Symbolism is not incrementalism. Getting people to stand next to us and take a photo op is not progress. I wouldn't give a damn if they never came to another black neighborhood again. You can handle my business without having to come here. Don't come here and shake hands and tell me about why you failed. If you're coming to see me, you need to come see me to tell me about how you succeeded, not to come tell me about how you failed. Imagine if you had a car mechanic and every week you go see him about your car and he's telling you about why he couldn't get the car fixed. He didn't have this part, he didn't have this tool, somebody didn't show up. He had a canker sore. Every time you turn around, he's doing everything except your bidding. He's doing everything except filling in what you told him. It'd be a hell of a whole lot better if you never saw him at all and if he dropped off your car fixed in front of your house. Yeah, I don't never see my mechanic, I just get my car fixed all the time. Negro's like a magic genie. Car disappears, cars come back fixed. It disappears broke, it comes back fixed. Yeah, that's what you would want if you had any type of sense about you. We're going to go ahead and take a few phone calls here right now. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Onan from Queens.
Onan from Queens. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. So I actually agree with you bringing up Judge O. Stevens as a good judge nominee for the Supreme Court. I think he's wonderful. We need more black representation like that on the bench. And, I just wanted to endorse my support for that.
Well, certainly, like I say, this is the reason why when we do have black folk who are doing the right thing and whatnot, that we make sure that they're highlighted, make sure that they're known, because you got all these think tanks and all of these nonprofit groups who are out here making sure that individuals who they've been sitting up here vetting for decades. Let me be very, very clear with you all. This list of individuals you see on your screen, this is not the result of years. This is the result of decades of grooming. Simone Sanders, Karine Jean-Pierre, Kamala Harris, or Barack Obama, they didn't just show up one day as puppets. That was the result of literally decades of grooming. They had groomed them for decades, worked with them for decades. They made sure they had their eye on them for decades. If you're a black person they elevate, they've been following you for decades to make sure you ain't did nothing off code. They make sure they've been, by the time you show up, they got a whole damn folder on you and they can see you're solid. You got too many decades in the game. You ain't never did nothing that was unpredictable. So when they send a Negro to us, just understand that person has been vetted, not for a few months, not for a few years. They've been vetted for decades. Decades. They were watching Barack Obama from the time he was in high school. Guess what? Simone Sanders, same thing. They were watching him since they were in high school. And been monitoring them ever since. Brother, I mean, when he went from high school, they knew he was overseas and whatever. And next thing you know, Harvard Law Review president? No, they're like, oh no, we've been watching him for years. When they can sit here and just run down all these details. If you're a black person, see, this is why they want to make sure they can monitor you. If you're a black person and you don't make your money in a way in which they can monitor it, they got a problem. They don't want a black person. If your money isn't something that came from them that they can monitor, if you can self-fund, then you can self-control. It's like, not him. Not him. No. We ain't worried about him. Because you see, now you're a wild card. These are all individuals who got their money from the white establishment. They got their money from white interests. Therefore, they're going to do white interest bidding. But furthermore, it goes beyond that. It's not just to get their money from them. The bottom line is that these are individuals who identify with the structure. And oh yeah, one more thing. I meant to say this before. By the way, if y'all didn't notice, did you all notice here? Let me go ahead and show you a little bit of something. For the females up here and whatnot, did y'all notice how many quote unquote natural hairstyles? Did you all notice that? With the sole exception here of Wilhelmina Wright, which means you ain't got a chance. But did you notice how many natural hairstyles they got up in here? That's what we say. Well, when Zaddy get him one, he don't want one that is too European. He wants one that's about as African as she can be. Did you all notice that? I wanted to go ahead and throw it in there for you all. Did y'all notice how many natural hairstyles they got among them? You notice how many of them? It's among the ones, the suspect ones, there's only one perm in there. The rest of them is like, oh no, even little old Leandra Kruger, she's like, okay, let me work these 3 Negro jeans I got. Let me work them right quick. Yeah, you have to start this process early. Oh, one more thing. By the way, 720 degrees of analysis insight. If you all want to go and look them up, you can go do that, which, by the way, I think is very interesting. You can go take a look at them. In many of their cases, they started doing their hair even more that way. By the way, in many of their cases, they started doing their hair even more that way. So you start noticing that in the case of, I want to say, Sherilyn Eiffel, her hair used to be shorter. Yeah, I'm taking a look at it. New York University School of Law. Yeah, her hair used to be a lot shorter. Where's she at here? Sherilyn Eiffel. Her hair used to be a lot shorter. Don't believe me? You can Google it. You can go Google it. Her hair used to be a lot shorter. She's been letting that damn thing grow out. Yeah, you can't sit up here and jump up at the last minute and think that's going to work. No, they're going to make sure they go ahead and do that. Same thing for Ketanji Brown. She's been letting that damn thing grow out. Why am I bringing that up? And by the way, Leandra Kruger, that one speaks for itself. Go take a look at pictures of her from just a few years ago. So what does that tell you when I say that somebody put a bug in their ear and they've been groomed for years? Brother, you got to start this process a long time ago. You got to start this a while back. You got to start this a while back. You got to get ready for this a while back. So if you're going to get in position for that, you got to make sure that there's a string of pictures of you looking a certain way that go back years. So now when you sit up here and bring this up, it's like, oh, my hair's been like this for years now. Yeah, I mean, this is how deep it goes. I want y'all to understand this is serious ass business. Wow. We're sitting up here taking care of Mike Brown and Eric Garner. This is what their folk were over here doing. White supremacy is 4D chess. It's 4D chess. While we were trying to fight back over Eric Garner, these women were sitting up here growing out their hair to look more Afrocentric. For the day that somebody sits up here and points out their association so they can argue against it. Folks, do y'all understand this is multidimensional? Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. This is how serious it is. This is how serious it is. Let's be very, very clear. When I point this out, I want to bring it to some new levels forward here so that you understand, oh, they are deep off in the game. They are deep off in the game. While we've been sitting up here fighting against police brutality, their hand-picked handmaidens have been sitting up here growing their hair out to look more of a certain way. What does that tell you? That tells you that somebody flew the kite to them years ago to let them know, hey, you might want to start getting things together. You're one of the people that, if worse come to worse, we're going to come holler at you. Shout out Andrew. Let me get called from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you coming from?
This is George calling from the Bronx.
Calling from area code 469. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you coming from?
No.
It's Thomas calling from Dallas.
Thomas from Dallas. What's on your mind?
This is like you said, this is a different breed of cooning. I didn't until you said something about that. That's strange. I mean, they got dreadlocks, they got micro braids. I mean, like you said, this is a coon factory. I believe they got these people when they were children and voted these people. But the disrespect from the party is that they came with the John Lewis voting rights bill. Then they come with all these bed witches with white men. And that's all they're going to give them? That's crazy. So the disrespect, it just continues. So cut the check. We don't want to hear nothing else, but cut that goddamn check. Big one.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Let me get caller from area code 917. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mason Bo calling in from the Bronx, New York.
Okay, Racing Boat from the Bronx. What's on your mind?
I'm so glad, brother. Brother Jason is on there to speak to you once again, and I'm so glad that you pointed out the fact that all of these bad witches and mammies are starting to grow their hair out. That also proves that we're putting the pressure on them. But I really hope that our sisters are paying attention that to show that even in the political arena, that you are fetishized. And that's all I got to say. Be one and I'm out.
Black First Brother, thank you for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 419. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is Joe calling out of Toledo.
Joe from Toledo. What's on your mind, brother?
I always say just keep it 100. Thanks for taking my call. Imagery and symbolism and venting coons are common with the white supremacy. I mean, Jason, you already know none of these nominees ever did anything for black people as federal judges. So it doesn't matter if they become a Supreme Justice. It's just another Clarence Thomas on the thing. But unfortunately, that's the way it goes down the line with this powers that be.
Well, they have a crop of them. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. They have a crop of them. They planted and sowed them decades ago, and now they're ready to come pluck them out. They've been watching them for decades to make sure they don't do anything that's out of pocket, nothing that's unpredictable. They are qualified. I mean, understand something right here. If one of them actually were out of pocket and whatnot, they got the man is sitting right next to them. Don't you know he's going to show up on ABC or Fox News? I said it. How they going to do anything on the line? The first time they do something you can't predict, they're going to show up on, your man going to show up on Fox News to holler about you. Your man's going to show up on Sean Hannity to talk about you. You can't step wrong or blow your nose in the wrong direction. Your man gonna be there to holler about you. You all think I'm lying? You all think I'm wrong? They do something off code. They do something unpredictable. They do something that wasn't already dictated to them. Next thing you know, your man gonna be showing up on Tucker Carlson. Let me get calling from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Jason, this is George calling out of the Bronx.
George out of the Bronx. What's on your mind?
Oh, okay. Sorry about the speaker, by the way. But yeah, black women, you see the game. Be very careful. It seems like every year the Democrats are able to wheel out a whole host of black women, politicians, and black men for that matter. Most recently Eric Adams out of New York. But it seems like black people are more tuned to black male politicians who are coons like Eric Adams. He's getting right out of office, but black women, it seems like it's very easy to garner support amongst black people. And we saw what happened last year in 2020, how they were able to create a wedge between black men and black women. I'm looking at you, cocktails and queens. So, and look at the embarrassment now. Kamala Harris, she's an embarrassment. The mayor out of Keisha Bonham, she's an embarrassment. Lori Lightfoot, she's an embarrassment. This one's not going to be that easy to forget about because she's going to be with us for, the next 30, 40 years, whoever they pick. So we already see who these people are. We already know their backgrounds. We already know the game. It's not going to be easy to, move this one down and, throughout your lifetime, she's going to be ruling against, the rights of black Americans, ruling against our tangibles. So, don't fall for the game.
Certainly, here's the real thing. The game the Democrats will play is to say, well, none of them voted against black people. No, what they're going to do is vote for everything else. So that's the real thing, is that they're going to be advocates for buffer classes. Let's just be very, very clear about that. Leandra Kruger doesn't have a reputation to defend black folks. She has a reputation to defend white supremacists. And that tells you about her character, her husband, the environment she's in. That tells you what to take a look for. So mark my words of what we're looking for here. They will not be doing things so much, quote, against black people. It will be that they're doing things for everybody except black people. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for anything against black people because they're going to use that against you. You making that your standard, you won't be able to find anything. It's going to be too hard to find that. That's not the game they're playing. The game they're playing is we're not going to do anything for black people. Now you will see them doing things for everybody else. Protections for Asians and this, that, and the other. So when we come up, all of a sudden silence is going to happen. So just understand the way in which they're making it. We're going to sit up here and say they're not doing anything specifically for black people, and they're going to try to argue, well, show us where we did anything against black people. The absence of doing anything for us is what you're doing against us. Keep that in mind. The absence of doing anything for us is what you're doing against us. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now let me get called Miracle Code 860. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening, Jason Black. This is Michael from Hartford, Connecticut. Thank you and Professor Black Truth for shining a light on this coming issue. But I was calling to push back a little bit on how you started the broadcast, where you said that you alluded that black people won't fall for the banana in the tailpipe this time around. I happen to be a member of what you guys call the Black Boule, and I'm telling you right now that once one of these women is picked, it's going to be an all-out assault from what I coined the Black Biden bullies. I'm sure my social media circles are a little bit different than yours. Mine is littered with AKAs and good God Almighty, when Biden and Kamala were running, I nearly got my head chopped off challenging anything with that ticket. And I'm telling you now, the problem that we have is these black women are going to come out with an all-out assault, and it's worse than a normal Democratic.
Okay, what it is, brother, what you're doing is you're steeped off and buried off behind enemy lines, because I run a whole media platform here, and they've been quiet as church mice over here. So it's really about where you're hanging out at. So let's be very, very clear. I didn't just say this for nothing. And I didn't say that black people are not going to fall for it. That's not what I said. What I said, sir, you're not listening very well, so take this as a second opportunity to try. What I said is that they're not going to be able to get away with what they've been getting away with the way they have been. But his support has been crumbling. The support is diminishing. And if anybody doubts, contrary to what you might think, this is not about getting the majority of black people to sit up here and not be on board. That's not what it's about. If you can knock those numbers down to 20%, if you can knock 20% off that support, you're done. You're done. We don't have to get 80% of black people to be with us. All you got to do, once they hit 20%, they're done. They're done. That's what it is. So just understand it's about reaching a critical mass where enough people are not going along with the program. But if you have enough sorors and enough AKs and stuff, I mean, if that's your social circle, then yeah, when they are in safe company, they're going to talk real bad. And they're going to talk real bullish if they're in safe company. But otherwise, no. No, it's out here in the real world. Just understand the Roland Martins of the world are not running things here. The Roland Martins of the world are not running things. So you're going to have to really change that social circle that you're with there. You really got to change that. Out here in the real world, they don't hold sway. They've had a year now to sit up here and jump up and ski weed. They ain't doing nothing for that. Kamala Harris's approval numbers are lower than Joe Biden's. Where's her sorority bootleg support at right now? She's already in office. Show me where her support is now. I'm looking. I'm listening, sir.
All I'm saying.
I'm listening. I asked a question. Can you show me where Kamala Harris's boule sorority media support is now? Her numbers are low. Joe Biden's numbers are terrible, and her numbers are even worse. Where they at?
We can underestimate older blacks.
Okay, sir. So my point is, yes, that's how much their support has diminished. Thank you very much for giving us a call. If all you're going to do is sit up here and say the same old stuff, that's going to be a problem. If all you're going to do is say the same old stuff, that's going to be a problem. If you're hanging out with that crowd in the first place, that's a problem. If you're going to sit up here and do the same thing, that's a problem. Let me get caller from area code 205. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Marquez from Birmingham, Alabama.
Marquez from Birmingham, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I mean, are we like 50 years behind, or they like 50 years ahead? Because I'm like...
They're 50 years ahead.
Are they playing... Yeah, are they playing like two... Like, are they playing like chess, like 2 moves ahead of us, or we playing 2 moves behind them, or something like that? Because it's like they're getting these people out of like there now, or they catching them when they're young, or I don't understand how a black woman can sleep with a white man, knowing the history that we got in this country. It's just beyond.
Okay, you gotta understand, white supremacy isn't just global. It's universal in the truest sense of the word. I want you all to understand what I'm going to tell you right now. White supremacy isn't just global. It's global in the truest sense of the word. It's universal in the truest sense of the word too. And by that, what I mean is that it touches, when you say white supremacy, you're referring to something at every strata and in every area of society is what you're doing. So when you talk about that, brother, it's generational. It isn't just all around geography, it's all throughout time. They understand the necessity of having a constant apparatus in place that is constantly maintaining itself. And part of that maintenance is the cultivation of the next generation. You got to actively be doing it. They will tell you these things don't just happen on their own. You don't just win by accident. Richard Spencer sat there and told you, I don't believe in competition. This isn't about competing. This is about rigging the game before they even get there. So if all you're doing is defining white supremacy geographically, you're not thinking big enough. You have to define white supremacy chronologically. You got to define it geographically, chronologically, mentally, emotionally, astronomically. Yes, I meant what I said. Shout out Elon Musk. If all you're doing is describing it geographically and politically, you're not thinking far enough. This system is constantly at work. Brother Neely Fuller meant what he said. Is constantly at work at every conceivable level, including cultivating operatives both within white society and outside of white society. Constantly doing that. It is constantly at work. All these think tanks, all these places giving out these so-called scholarships and endowments and trust funds. Man, they got a whole apparatus in place whose job it is to get both within and outside the country. I mean, what are you talking about? Haiti, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Brazil, all over Africa. Man, they got their hooks all over the damn place. They have their hooks invested in cultivating new operatives all over the world. You're seeing this. Take a look at Haiti for generations now. For generations, they have been puppeteering the governments in Haiti for generations. Not just last year, not just since the Clintons. They've been doing it for over a century, actually over 2 centuries. It's not an accident. It's not an accident.
Basically, you saying, okay. So basically, you saying that we playing on their chessboard.
Well, yeah, I mean, you live in a system of white supremacy, so yes. Now here's the way in which you win. The way in which you win is to understand that the secret of what they're doing is they got a code about it. We have been real meepish about getting on code ourselves. That's the problem. So it's really not a game so much where they're winning. It's just that you're not doing. It's not a game where they're making you lose so much as you're not doing enough to win. You can't just be aware that racism exists. White supremacy has no problem saying racism exists. They'll sit there and get on TV. Joe Biden, one of the chief architects of the white supremacy system, will sit there and tell you racism exists, and he should know. He's been one of the chief practitioners of it. But the real thing is when you get to the point of, okay, now what do we do about it? Well, we can dance and sing a hymn and watch old John Lewis tapes and him getting his ass beat. That's always fun for us. Okay. You're in the wrong place for that. So I wouldn't say so much that we're behind, it is that they're ahead. And their goal is to stay 10 steps ahead of you. If they see you catching up, that's when they're like, oh, hell, we got a problem. Well, what does catching up look like? Catching up looks like them losing support. Because remember, the only way in which they can hold this together as much as they do, because they're a minority on Earth, the only way they can hold this together as much as they do is if you can get black folk to play along. As Dr. Francis Cress Wilson said, white society plays dumb about racism and black people play dumb along with them. How do you win? Stop playing dumb as a group. Stop playing dumb. And part of that is including acknowledging this. Just because somebody is your color, when they clearly expose that they're not your kind, you don't ignore that. You don't sit up here and give them the benefit of the doubt. There is no doubt. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller Miracle 909. You're on live with Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller from 909 has been abducted. Caller from area code 214. You're on live with Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How you doing? My name is LeBed. I'm the first time caller. I don't know what kind of time I let the storm drop in my 18-wheeler right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to let the storm or something.
Sir, if you're on Bluetooth or something, you need to take it off of that because all we're getting is background noise.
All right. I'm going to try to do it. how you doing? My name is Lavelle calling in from Dallas. Not the last caller that was on, but the last caller before that. I kind of agree with him, man. Man, I think it's been a great separation between the black man and the black woman. Cause I post all your videos, Tariq Nasheed videos. I post all y'all videos, man, and there's a disconnect. I think the Democratic Party has done a number on us, man, when it comes to our black women. I think they've given them this token idea that they pretty much are the survivors. I can't explain it, but as far as like, they pretty much keep the party alive, and they're okay with that. They don't have to receive anything, Chance.
Okay, I want you to understand something. The numbers bear this out. From 2016 to 2020, the black female vote trails the black male vote. I showed this when I did my program here back in the Virginia election when Youngkin beat McCullough. The black female vote trails the black male vote. So as the black male vote increases for somebody, the black female vote increases. As the black male vote decreases, the black female vote also decreases. Now, the fact that there might be more females voting for him, what it shows you is the black female vote follows the black man. So if we set the trend on it, that's going to happen. Well, why is it so hard then? Because you've had 4 damn decades of Tom Joyner and Roland Martin and all this old crap on the radio and TV, and here comes Oprah. I mean, they put big money and big support behind their system of being able to popularize this nonsense. They put big money and big support behind it. You're not going to knock that down overnight. What I look for is a trend. Because once is an incident, twice is a trend, 3 times is a pattern. And we're getting to a point where we're almost ready to call it as a pattern. We're almost there. But my job is to track the trend and to be accurate in what I'm tracking. And it's pretty clear what the trend is doing. The trend is very clear at this point.
Yeah.
The black female vote trails behind the black male vote. So think of it in those regards. It lags the black male vote.
And you have a bigger plus on things than I am, but far more educated than I am. I am a student of everything that you do. But my thing is, it just from what on my timeline, it's just like everyone. It just no matter what, we can get upset, and it's like it's touch the wall, and we go back to what we know, going straight back to that Democratic voting block. We can give all the information, give all the data show, and we can see other groups get tangibles, we not get tangibles, and then when it comes down to vote, we go back and do the same.
Well, I mean, we don't want to be redundant about it, but the bottom line is we didn't get into this overnight. We got into this over the course of 100 years. You're not going to get out of it overnight. So we're going to have to understand there are a number of people who they've been doing silly for so long that they are emotionally invested in it. They are emotionally invested. They're emotionally married to it. So, you're going to have to wait for a lot of them to either die off or go away or whatever, because they're still there causing nonsense. But you have to keep that in mind. This is not something that you got into overnight. It's not going to alleviate itself overnight. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. You're just going to have to, that's why our timeline is infinite. Our timeline is not limited. We have an infinite timeline on this. This is not we're going to fight until it's not going to be we're going to fight unless, it's we fight until. We're not sitting here saying we're going to fight unless it looks like it's not going to happen. No, we're going to fight until we get there. Call from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Melissa out of Brooklyn.
Melissa out of Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to talk real quick about the Supreme Court nominees. Great job in picking up that trend with the white husband. That was really mind-blowing. I want to say that probably they'll go with the youngest one because she'll be sitting on that seat for life, essentially. So she'll be there for maybe 60, 80. I mean, until she's probably 80, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And also, I just want to say real quick, uh, even if they give us a black woman Supreme Court nominee, and then we have Clarence Thomas and Sotomayor. Keep that, and then once we're supposed to keep that, the Dred Scott decision still stands on the books. It was never stricken off the books, but they keep saying, "Oh well, the 13th Amendment is automatically supersedes it," but no one acts like no one in the public has. Well, why is that law that the Dred Scott decision still on the books? Well, should be stricken off, rescinded,
I mean,
what have you.
well, technically speaking, they are correct. I mean, the 13th Amendment, 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment supersedes that. So there's a reason why you've never really seen another Supreme Court decision that used Dred Scott as its basis. So but that's not the real issue. I mean, like I said, that the real issue is what is enforced for you. Because if you're going to talk about the Constitution, the Supreme Court and courts around the country, courts, police departments around the country, city courts, state courts, and federal courts disregard our constitutional rights. So in a situation with Dred Scott, you're like, okay, well, they said the Constitution says that you don't have, that there are no rights that we have that white people are compelled or obligated to acknowledge. Well, even the rights that we have clearly stated that they are compelled and obligated to acknowledge and uphold and honor, they're not doing that either. So even for stuff that is otherwise incontrovertible, beyond being able to be argued, they're still doing that. So you're going to have to understand the law is, in this white supremacist system, the law is arbitrary. What they is you're in the system of our white guys say so. So that's why relying upon Supreme Court precedent, there's only one Supreme Court precedent that really counts, which is the getting together to say that this is a country set up for white people, and then what they put into practice every day. That is what trumps the Constitution. When you can take Breonna Taylor completely naked and gun her down in her apartment, and nobody is prosecuted, and Joe Biden isn't calling for an investigation or prosecuting anybody, nor for Tamir Rice, nor for Eric Garner, nor for anybody else. That is the law of the land. Let's be very, very clear. Sure. That is the law of the land. That's your constitutional rights on display right there. Don't get it confused. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. We can always pontificate about the Supreme Court and decisions and things like that, but what is enforced is letting you know what the extent of your rights are. Let me get called from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. My name is Daryl, calling from Chicago.
Daryl from Chicago, what's on your mind?
Jason, another tremendous broadcast as always. About a year ago, you had warned us about these situations that are coming up right after that next general election. You said before that primary started that they're going to try to put that playbook back at us again, and sure enough they did. And it's really amazing how that's not working. And at this time, I thank the black media for alerting everybody. Because, again, a lot of people wouldn't really pay too much attention to that. They just went on the business as usual. But because of all the black media alerting people and letting them know that this is coming, and watch out for this and watch out for that.
Well, I mean, before now, you didn't have that, because before now, what you had were a bunch of failed Negroes, Mark Lamont Hill, Roland Martin, all jockeying to get a job at one of these white corporations. None of them were saying, you know what, I'll just stay here on the Chitlin circuit, if you will. I need to talk to my people. They were all lined up and eager to sell everybody else out for their own individual benefit. Nobody ever factored that there would be somebody who would sit there and say, you know what, I'm going to stay in the soil with the people no matter what happens. So when that occurs, now the information that gets out, because let's be very, very clear, there is nothing that I'm showing you on this screen that Roland Martin and crew are not already aware of. There's nothing I have shown you that they don't already know. There is nothing that we brought up here from their immigrant status or whatever else. Shout out Cheryl and Ivo. There's nothing that we've demonstrated or shown to you here that they don't already know. that they haven't already known all this time. You know what won't happen if you tune in with them, you just won't hear it. So if the only place that you get your news, information, or analysis from Roland Martin, what you are going to get is the party line. When you come here, you get something that is beholden to Black people. And so, yeah, we do dig these things up, and we do find this. And like I said, when I'm sitting up here showing you about their hair, so that it shows you the difference in how they looked over time, so that you can see that, oh, hell, you've been sliding into position now for the better part of a decade. So since Obama was in office, you've been easing on over into position. Yeah. So these people that they nominated to put in place overlap with them in many cases. They've been getting ready for this the whole time. My job is to make sure that you have an accurate picture of that. But the only reason that we have that is because we're not beholden to these corporations, and we're not looking for a job from them. Because if we were, the first thing we would do is bury all this, and we'd be talking about policy and the Republicans and this, that, and the other. It's like, no, I got some questions, because this all looks very, 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 very familiar in an ominous way. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get calling here. Go 717. You're on live with Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Lakeisha, and I'm calling from Baltimore, Maryland. I just want to say, I think the reason that they're putting these Black women with these white women are because of the fact that these rappers are glorifying, other women instead of Black women. And, nobody has spoken on that tonight, and I just want to put that out there. They like, oh, well, Black women are mad at Black men, so we're going to use we're going to use that against Black men and have the white women, have the Black women vote for us because, oh, well, look at these. Y'all can easily come on over to us because, we'll take care of you. The white man will take care of you. So that's all I want to say. Be one, and I appreciate everybody.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. I think I'm lost. No, I'm with y'all. I don't know what she was talking about either. Call from Area Code 601. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Jeremiah. I'm from Jackson, Mississippi.
Jeremiah from Jackson, Mississippi. What's on your mind?
Hey, brother, you've done an excellent job in being an educator for us, and also bringing out things needed further talks about. And other Black scholars like John Henry Clark and Dr. Todd Anderson. And one thing that, is out here now, the divestment movement. That's something that they're trying to bring out. We see it as much of baloney, much of bull, and they're trying to elevate these people. That's fine, they do that. And all they're doing is showcase. That's something that, full of talk stuff. All they're doing is showcase Black folk. And us in the conscious, quote unquote, conscious community, we see through this. We see they just showcase their Negro white chicks. And they ain't hitting on nothing.
Well, I want you all to understand something. Dave Chappelle was absolutely right in what he said. Twitter is not a real place. And these online things where folks sit up here and clown on TikTok and stuff, you all have to recognize the difference between Negroes fighting for attention and performing versus real power and a real, actual social political movement. If they're sitting there on Twitter and TikTok talking, that ain't a movement. That's somebody jockeying for attention. Right. So just keep that in mind. Thank you very much for giving us a call. If you call America 510, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Black, how you doing, sir?
Okay, take your phone off speaker.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, what is your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from South Carolina.
Mike from where in South Carolina?
Columbia.
Mike from Columbia, South Carolina. What's on your mind?
Man, I used to live in urban Texas, and I know what you're talking about, man. I mean, you know about the Texas area. It's just so racist out here. it's so frustrating, man. It's just I just want more people to get on board what you're saying, and nobody will just listen to me out here, man. Like, how can I get people to listen? Because it's just, they're just so fragmented out here, man. They're not in lockstep like white folks out here, man. These white folks, they're in lockstep, but the blacks are just so.
Brother, if you want folk to listen to you, first you need to be the most articulate person in the room, most able to enunciate. So right now, even on the phone with me, you're kind of stuttering and stepping and stuff, and if it takes you too long to be able to figure out what you want to say, then all you're really going to do is run off your potential audience.
People, you, Jason, how can we get blacks on code,
sir?
That's all I'm asking you, sir.
People listen to people who sound like they are more knowledgeable and more authoritative. If you're having trouble getting people to listen to you, then it's because you don't sound more knowledgeable or more authoritative. So that's where you want to begin. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Well, folks, you are warned. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the phones here because I got a feeling folks are getting off in their stuff here. But definitely, you were warned about this. We told you about this. The desperation is set in. The desperation is real. And just to be very, very clear about this, this is good. They say never let them see you sweat. But in this situation, Biden is just pouring sweat by the bucket. This is what we warned was going to happen. This is what we said was going to happen. This is a sure sign that they understand that they are in trouble and that it is the black vote. The black vote. Black people are the focus. They're making it very, very clear. I said this whole time. They are in trouble with black people. Remember all the folks who told you after the 2020 election, ain't no problem with black folks. See, black folks are still in line with it. If black folks are still in line with it, why in the hell is Biden on the full court offensive to sort of here trying to get black folks' attention after spending the majority of 2021 telling you that the focus should at least be on LGBT, Asians, illegal aliens, and anything else but black people? It was because what we told you was accurate. What we told you was accurate, and understand this ain't the end of it. What they're going to try to do is drag this out a little bit here, probably see if they can get them a Supreme Court nominee by March. Then they're going to see if they can try to put in something else for black people between March and Juneteenth. So they can sit up here and say, well, look what we did for black folks right here, baby. Look what we did for them. See? That's what we doing for them right here. And then by the time you get there, they're going to be like, okay, well, take a look at what we did for them. That's going to be the game they're playing. We're not going to have that. This isn't about getting the majority of black people on the same page about this. This is about getting enough black people on the same page. Once we get enough on the same page and real things start happening, take a look and watch for people to start changing their tune. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, over 132,000 subscribers and rising. We're not a little thing. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. YouTube attempts to suppress our channel because they don't like the fact that we are changing the body politic and the national narrative. We are the black media, so do your part. Like the program, but especially share the program and make sure we have as many eyeballs as possible on it. And if you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD for streaming on Amazon. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal or Cash App. We appreciate this. As Professor Life Truth says, black media exists only because of you. And thank you to all of you who have been keeping track with this, staying up with it. The fight has just begun. We are going to change the way this politics is done in this country. We're going to change the focus of it. We have already altered it. We're going to continue to do so simply by being us. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.